In 57-58, Burgess found himself living in a place called Ayleston, which is a suburb of Leicester in the English Midlands. And he was looking for work. He was answering advertisements in the Times educational supplements and so on. And he said something that slightly disappointed me. He writes as follows.
The British Council proposed sending me to a college in Peshawar to teach phonetics. There was, I was told with referred pride, a small phonetics laboratory in that college. I had doubts, which I didn't express, about the value of a phonetics laboratory on the northwest frontier. Having learned Malay and some Chinese, I did not relish having to forget them and learn new Indic languages.
I say this slightly disappointed me because I wish he had learned Indic languages and I wish he had gone to work in Peshawar. It would have been fascinating. In the event, he went to live in Brunei, and we got a novel out of that, which was superb. So this was a devil of a state. But it would have been interesting. Peshawar would have been interesting. However, if he lost some of his relish for language learning, which incidentally he lists in Who's Who as one of his hobbies, if he lost that appetite during his time in Leicester, during his 5 months in Leicester, I think he soon regained it. And he definitely regained it in later life. This is what he writes in his book, A Mouthful of Air. He says the following.
You are in the company of a learner of Japanese. In old age, I decided that the language was too important for me to ignore.
And he provides a brief summary of the nature of the language. He writes as follows.
With the language of the ingenious people who dwell in what is sometimes called the Britain of the East, a reference to geographical position, certainly not culture, we approach a disconcerting mixture of extreme simplicity and maddening complexity. Aspects of the simplicity we've already met in Malay, a lack of concern with the tortuosities of verb, noun, and pronoun which plague us when we learn German or Russian. But all that Malay and Japanese have in common is the negative fact of not belonging to the Indo-European family. Japanese has borrowed richly from Chinese, but it's not related to it. It's not related to anything except possibly Korean. It looks like Chinese, except for the two syllabaries which help out the ideograms, but it doesn't sound like it. It is not tonal, and it is not made out of single syllable semantimes. There is a syllabic pattern of single vowels, or of vowels preceded by single consonants, but these are the mere building blocks of words.
Burgess goes on.
My concern is with holding a simple conversation with such Japanese businessmen as I meet in London or New York hotels. I have a desire at least to scratch the surface of the Japanese mentality. Japanese is, thank heaven, a language that lends itself easily to Romanization. There's even a quasi-phonetic system authorized by the Japanese government.
Burgess also makes the following point, or asks the following question.
Is life, or such life as is left to me, long enough for a longer journey into the Japanese labyrinth? Much depends on whether I can change my habits of syntactical thinking.
Just while we're on the subject of Japan, and going back for a second to Ayleston, this Leicester suburb, while Burgess was there, he wrote his novel The Right to an Answer, and the expatriate character in that novel is returning expatriate. The repatriate character is called J.W. Denham, and as a minor person of note, or a minor worthy, the local newspaper interviews J.W. Denham, and in the novel, a few days later, Denham picks up the local paper and finds the interview there, and the interview reads in part as follows:
that it is still possible for a man of initiative to make money in the East is the firm opinion of balding, plump Mr. Denham, who adds, however,
Not if you take a wife with you.
Mr. Denham has scathing things to say about English women and their lack of domestic virtues. He particularly selects their cooking as a target, but considers also that they are far inferior to the slant-eyed beauties of the Orient in the all-important matter of fidelity to their menfolk. Mr. Denham is considered an authority on the women of Japan, who, he says, are lovely, demure, and submissive. On his own admission, he has little time for anything except money, dalliance, and the imbibing of liquors of all kinds.
Here is the character Crab from Burgess's Malayan trilogy, reflecting on not just Japan but the East in general.
Leaning back in his armchair, high above the jungle, lulled by the engine noises, Crab tried to take stock of himself. He felt very much alone. Malaya did not want him. The romantic dream he had entertained, the dream that had driven Raffles to early death, was no longer appropriate to an age in which sleep was impossible. The whole East was awake, building dams and canals, powerhouses and car factories, forming committees, drawing up constitutions, having selected from the West the few tricks it could understand and use. The age of Raffles was also the age of Keats and Shelley. The East, attractively misty, apt for the muffled clang of the romantic image. Cathay, all golden dragons. Japan, the edge of the world. Liberalism, itself a romantic dream, had long gone under. And there was no longer any room for the individual. There was nothing now that any one man could build. Crabbe remembered some lines from an unfinished sonnet of Hopkins.
Or what is else? There is your world within. There rid the dragons. Root out there the sin. Your will is law in that small commonweal.
Concerning Japan, I don't think we should forget Bonaparte's reference to fabulous Japan in the speech he delivers in Egypt, as rendered by Burgess in his novel Napoleon Symphony.
The lure of Egypt, gentlemen, and the greater exotic lure of the lands beyond. The East. Does not our way lie there? Europe shall, after tomorrow, be wholly ours. We do not wish America or Africa, shapeless, savage continents with no future. But the East, India, China, fabulous Japan.
か見つかったか。毒は突き止めたのか。
いやまだだ。だがすぐに見つかるはずだ。
こいつ今の状況が分かってないようだな。人も牛もバタバタ死んでるんだ、お前のせいで。
そんなどういうことだ。何かの間違いだ。そんなはずない。本当に何も見つからなかったのですか。
見てみろ。我々砂漠士の者が総出で岩の川や井戸、牛の飼い場から家々の残飯までとことん調べ上げた。だが毒となるようなものは一切見つからなかった。
そんなはずありません。絶対見つかるはずです。人も牛も口にした猛毒が必ずあります。
黙らんか。これを見てもまだ言い張る気か。お前がいい加減なことを言ったおかげで事態は一層悪化した。待望、余計なことをしよって我々も手を尽くしておる。